Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk. Thanks for watching. We have a busy docket today, so let's get started. First, Ahmaud Arbery, new arrests. And I'd like to share with you a little hate mail that I received. Second, Michelle Triconis wishes she had run a background check on Fotis Dulos. Third, the police investigating the Maddie disappearance would like to speak with an individual. Hopefully we can help find them. Fourth, our Dumb Criminal Contestant of the Day and our recap of the contestants for the Dumb Criminal Contestant of the Week that you get to decide. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thank you for watching. If you have not already done so, we would ask that you please subscribe, hit that little like button, and leave us a comment about what we discussed today. I think there's going to be a lot of comments when we get done. First on the docket, Ahmaud Arbery. Another arrest has taken place. For those of you who are not familiar with this particular case, Travis McMichael and Gregory McMichael, a father and son duo, have been arrested months after the death of Ahmaud Arbery. It was alleged that they were engaging in a citizen's arrest to arrest Mr. Arbery, who may have or was actually in a property that was under construction, but no evidence that anything was in fact stolen. Travis McMichael, in pursuit with his father, jumped out of the truck and tried to detain Mr. Arbery. Travis McMichael had a loaded shotgun on his person. The video speaks for itself, but it shows that the gun fires and ultimately Mr. Arbery is dead. The police at the scene wanted to arrest the McMichaels. However, since Gregory McMichaels worked as an investigator at the district attorney's office for some 16 years, some of his district attorney friends put the kibosh to that arrest. It was then passed off to another district attorney where really nothing took place. Ultimately, when a video was released, and that video coincidentally was actually taken by William Roddy Bryan, and he is now in custody, which we'll get to in just a moment. Once the video was released, outrage not only in the state of Georgia, but around the country. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation took over the investigation along with the Attorney General's office, and within roughly 48 hours, both Travis and Gregory McMichaels were arrested, and Mr. Bryan was arrested last night. He was charged with felony murder as well as attempted false imprisonment. Now, Mr. Bryan and his attorney both claim that he was in fact simply a witness and he was videotaping this particular incident. There seems to be some indication, however, though, that Mr. McMichael and Mr. Bryan, that there is apparently some sort of coordination among the group. And when they were chasing Mr. Arbery, or Mr. Arbery was running and they were trying to get him, and he was running back, that there was some coordination among these three individuals. Here's actually a brief video that shows the description of how they go through the neighborhood and track back around. I think it's somewhat demonstrative of what the routes were taken. Clearly, this can be traced either through cell phone records or the statements that have been given by the McMichaels as well as Mr. Bryan. Now, I have taken a lot of heat from people, okay? We put up the tapes of Mr. Arbery when he was sitting in his car, and I believe that he was being harassed. The police do that stuff, and they've done that stuff to my clients for the last 25 years. I've seen it, and that's a classic example of it. Somebody minding their own business, and the police come up. Some people say, you hate police. Why do you hate everyone except Mr. Arbery? Not true. Another video surfaced, and we put that up yesterday, where he was walking out of Walmart. He was arrested for shoplifting. Mr. Arbery pled guilty to that charge. It resulted in the revocation of his probation, which he was on for taking a firearm to school. So no one is trying to push any facts under the table. No one is advocating for any particular person. We are looking at this based upon the facts and the law, okay? A lot of people, as it relates to this story, and I don't know why, simply want to look at it as a race issue. And if you are supporting one particular side just because of the race, you may want to take a little self-reflection, okay? I don't care if what the McMichaels did, if Mr. Arbery had been white, brown, yellow, orange, green, purple, it wouldn't have mattered. They had no business doing what they did. If Mr. McMichael and his father Gregory were any color than white, I would still say that they should not have got out of that truck. They should have simply called the police. Those are the facts, all right? Let me share with you a little hate mail I received. And I won't mention this person's name because, frankly, we just don't need to go there. But this is what they said. Ah, yes, more of the jogger, just an innocent boy. The footage you showed was clipped. You do have an anti-white agenda. The whites you go in on and blacks you give a free pass or do not cover at all. You know you're not allowed to talk stats on black on white crime. Get honest. Or is that an oxymoron or an honest lawyer? Stop covering for blacks. It doesn't help them solve their problems, and white racism is not their problem. Your anti-white narrative is on full display. Really? Wow. Perhaps a little self-reflection would be due. And we'll just refer to that individual as HP. A anti-white narrative. That's interesting. Last time I checked, I think I was white. This program and my time as a practicing lawyer, it has never been about anyone's race. It's never been about anyone's sexual orientation. It hasn't been about one's immigration status. I represented my client based upon the facts, and we looked at the law, and we applied the facts to the law, and we zealously represented any client. It doesn't matter what race they are. So hopefully that's clear. And if you're not interested in the facts with the analysis of the law, then maybe this may not be the correct channel for you. There are lots of people out there that aren't lawyers that will come up with every crazy theory you could possibly come up with. I encourage you to go there because I would rather have one viewer to be able to have an intellectual conversation with them about the facts and the law than a bunch of wackadoo theories that don't apply to the facts and the law in the case. So let's take a quick look at this. And if you go back since this story has started, we have presented the facts with the law. You may first recall, when this case first started, everybody said, well, the reason why the McMichaels were never charged was simply for the fact that they were doing a citizen's arrest, and obviously the other gentleman, Mr. Arbery, must have attacked them, and therefore he was shot in self-defense. Clear enough. Well, let's take a look at Georgia's law. Not the law that a lot of people think they want or the way it should be, but let's deal with reality. And as you may recall, I told you, even if I had represented one of the McMichaels, I would do everything in my power to zealously represent them. But as an attorney, I would have to go have the hard conversation with them and say, this is the law. These are the challenges that we are going to have with the law. Now, let me know why you thought it was so important that you had to get yourself armed in a truck and go find this gentleman, Mr. Arbery. It couldn't have waited for the police to arrive, or you could have followed him until the police arrived. Please let me know, all right? Because that hard conversation with them would include a citizen's arrest, and I would have to explain to them under Georgia law, as a private citizen, you have no authority to arrest anyone with a warrant, okay? So if you say, oh, that guy has a warrant for Whatever, no authority to go arrest somebody under Georgia law. Without a warrant, you may arrest anyone who commits a misdemeanor or a felony in your presence or with your immediate knowledge. A citizen's arrest occurs when a citizen prevents a suspect from leaving a scene. Citizen's arrest most often happens, for example, in a shoplifting case. However, there was a case in Georgia called Winn-Dixie versus Nichols, and that was at 422 Southeastern 2nd, 209, 1992. And there, a Winn-Dixie customer complained to management that another customer stole her wallet. The court held that the limited rights of a merchant to detain or arrest a person reasonably believed to have committed a shoplifting offense do not authorize a merchant to detain or arrest individuals accused by store patrons of committing crimes against another patron. To make the arrest, an employee would have to actually see the criminal act committed. Therefore, it was ruled that the management had no authority to arrest the alleged criminal. Very similar to our set of circumstances. Neither one of the McMichaels had seen Mr. Arbery in the home, and there's no evidence that a crime was actually committed. So, once again, there's the law as it relates to citizens' arrests. Further, it goes that when making a citizen's arrest, a person may not use more force than is reasonable to make an arrest. Deadly force is limited to self-defense or instances in which such force is necessary to prevent certain felonies. That's usually if you see somebody committing a murder, or they're going to run off with nuclear weapons, or somebody is sexually assaulting somebody. Very limited set of circumstances where deadly force is permitted. So, it must be stressed that the right of private citizens to make a citizen's arrest is rather limited. They cannot arrest people for violating local ordinances or regulations because these violations are not technically crimes under state law. And you could only make an arrest for bringing somebody before a judicial officer, a court. You don't get to be the prosecutor, judge, and jury. Which brings us to the Georgia self-defense statute. You do not have to retreat if somebody is attacking you. That's the stand your ground law. However, you cannot go looking for a fight, i.e., get out of a car with a gun, point it at another individual, and if that individual hits you, punches you, maybe even grabs the firearm, you can't then claim self-defense. You cannot be the initial aggressor under self-defense laws, and specifically those in Georgia, and say it was self-defense. Even if a self-defense instruction would be given by the court, depending on the facts, and it's frankly pretty easy to get that instruction. Most jurisdictions apply a mere scintilla. There has to be a mere scintilla of evidence that would warrant that instruction that could be given for the jury to consider. But once again, if it's self-defense, you can only use a reasonable amount of force that is necessary. We've talked about this before. If somebody says they want to show up and fight you with their fists, you don't get to pull a gun and shoot somebody. I know. I've done that case. Not good for the defendant in that particular case. So, for the individuals out there who truly want to have an intellectual conversation and be intellectually honest as it relates to the Arbery case, this is what you have to consider: the facts and the law. And the defenses in a murder defense are rather limited. You can say, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. That's what they have to prove at any court, in any criminal case, identification. You can say, wow, somebody killed somebody, but I wasn't there. I have an alibi. You could claim self-defense, which we just discussed. You can't be the initial aggressor, and you can only use the reasonable amount of force necessary. Or the final, last Hail Mary defense in any kind of homicide case is the dead guy deserved killing. Now, this is a difficult defense to use because, well, you don't get a jury instruction for that. Additionally, guess what? The person who is the defendant, even if he was Charles Manson and committed horrendous murders and had other people commit murders for them, guess what? The jury would never hear about that. In the videos that we have seen thus far, with Mr. Arbery, and even if you think he's yelling at the police or even getting aggressive with the police, guess what? Doesn't matter. Neither one of the Michaels were there. Even if they knew about it, they weren't there. I would say 99.9% chance, irrelevant, not coming in, and you don't get to have a sideshow as it relates to the victim's character. So even if you think Mr. Arbery was a punk and could get aggressive, doesn't matter. So let's see where the facts lead us. Let's see what law is presented. Now, you may be asking, Mr. Brian, how could he possibly be here? He was just in the car filming this video. Well, as we showed with the diagram, if there are multiple cars and there's any sort of communication, it can even be he's going that way, he's going this way. They are acting in concert. They are what they refer to then as a complicitor. If you aid, encourage, or assist somebody in the commission of an offense, then you can be held responsible just like you did it yourself, okay? Complicity is not a crime. It is a theory of prosecution under the law. So somewhere at the Attorney General's office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, they have determined that the McMichaels and Mr. Bryan were somehow coordinating or doing something to try and block Mr. Arbery's departure. Hence the attempted false imprisonment, which is a felony. And when somebody dies in the commission of a felony in most jurisdictions, it can be felony murder. Even if you never intended for anybody to die, you could be convicted. It is a very harsh law. And nobody seems to care about it, except when it suddenly becomes their family member or someone they know that faces those particular consequences. So finally, I don't know, I mentioned this yesterday, these tapes are coming out. That's good. The truth. There's no one that believes that more information should come out than this guy, all right? But we also have to look at it under legal factors, under the rules of evidence. We'll see where it leads. I'm sure there will be much more to come in this particular case. Next on the docket, Michelle Troconis. I bet you she wishes she had run a background check on Fotis Dulos before she got involved with that guy. Well, for those of you who do not recall, this Sunday is the 1-year anniversary for the disappearance of Jennifer Doulos. The police alleged, and they believed, that her ex-husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, Fotis Dulos, in fact, had killed her in the garage and then disposed of her body. To this date, Jennifer Doulos' body has not been found. Her 5 children are living with her parents. Fotis Dulos, in I think a great sign of consciousness of guilt, committed suicide. And he did write a handwritten note saying that Michelle Troconis had nothing to do with anything and that he was also completely innocent. Well, once again, you have facts and then you have the legal reality. Guess what? Michelle Troconis, that statement is not coming in to court. Why, you may say? It's hearsay. It's an out-of-court statement by someone other than the person saying it on the witness stand, being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. That's the definition of hearsay. Only if Fotis Dulos was there to testify and be subject to cross-examination would those statements be admissible in any way. So Ms. Troconis does not get the benefit of that letter at all. Well, Ms. Troconis, on the, like I said, the approaching 1-year anniversary of Jennifer Doulos, has a new attorney and is being a little more aggressive and basically sent out a statement saying that her heart goes out to everyone. The truth will come out. Based upon everything that I now know, I wish I hadn't been involved with Mr. Fotis Dulos. Like I said, I bet you wish she had run a background check. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and I'm here to tell you that everyone should have a background check subscription. Information is power. The more information you have, the better decisions you can make. Who would you possibly think you need to search? Well, how about the babysitter's parents, your kids' friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, anyone you're going to date, and maybe someone you just don't get that warm, fuzzy feeling at work. Go to the link, sign up for your easy subscription that you can cancel at any time, check social media presence, convictions, sex offender status, bankruptcies, and property. You could spend weeks doing what people finders can do in a matter of minutes. I have personally used this product. It has saved me a lot of time and clients a lot of money. I recommend you give it a try. Next on the docket, we brought you information about the Madison or Maddie Bell case out of Cleveland, Ohio. Now, Ms. Bell went missing just about a week ago. Her purse and her phone were all found in her car. She was going to a tanning appointment. Her car was found abandoned in a church parking lot with her keys and her cell phone left inside. Obviously, everyone these days doesn't leave without their cell phone. Certainly would indicate that perhaps something was wrong. The police investigating this particular case now have a photograph of someone that they would like to speak to. They're not saying that he is a suspect, but they would like to speak with him. So if anyone has seen this individual or knows who he may be, they may want to contact the Highlands County Sheriff's Office at 937-393-1421. Now also, Maddie Bell is approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighs between 120 and 125 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. She also has a cross tattoo on her neck and usually wears gray contact lenses. We all know the longer this goes, the more likely things turn negative. So hopefully we can help either find Miss Bell or find this individual that the police would like to speak with. Somebody knows who he is. Next on the docket, it's that time again, the dumb criminal contestant of the day. Well, this dumb criminal contestant comes to us today from New York. And this video has gone viral, and it shows a very graphic clip of a masked man positioned behind his partner on the subway terminal, bending his partner over next to a steel beam. Obviously, keeping it very classy. It's unclear exactly what time of day this sex act occurred, but obviously it did take place in public. The potential crimes here include, obviously, sex in public, as well as public indecency and indecent exposure. And that's assuming that the act was, in fact, consensual. So our masked man, who at least is trying to prevent COVID-19 by wearing a mask, is certainly not engaging in social distancing in this particular maneuver. So our New York subway rider is today's dumb criminal contestant of the day. Now, the important part for all of you, who is going to be our dumb criminal contestant of the week? Simply hit the link and you can vote. And a quick recap of our contestants. First, we had the Melonheads who went into the store to steal beer, but unfortunately had posted on their Facebook pages the Melonhead costumes prior to committing the crime. Then we had our chicken breast thrower, Thomas Reese, who threw the raw chicken breast and hit his spouse in the back of the head. Not to be outdone, we had the vile Taco Bell incident, where an unidentified woman in a car with South Carolina license plates became upset at Taco Bell and threw a container full of urine and feces at the Taco Bell employees. And who cannot forget Johnny Angel Robles, who recently released from jail in California due to their COVID-19 release policy, whereupon he immediately gets out of jail, goes and breaks into a business, steals cameras equipment, and then ultimately sticks around to sell items on the street corner. Unbeknownst to him, actually trying to sell it back to the original owner. You all make the call. Let me know. We'll announce the winner next week. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all that you have done for us here at Crime Talk. It does not go unnoticed. We would also like to thank our Patreon members. Our numbers have shot through the roof lately, And that gives you direct access to Scott's mailbag, where I will try to answer your questions directly. And as you head into this long weekend, if you find yourself saying, I don't have any summer gear, I sure need some Crime Talk merchandise, go to Teespring at the link below, and you can get your Crime Talk merchandise for the summer. You'll be so cool. And if you get a mug or a shirt, send us a picture. We'll put it up in our mug shot section on social media. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.